I'm Mark Dawson from the Self-Publishing Show, and this is Self-Publishing Spotlight, where we shine a light on the indie authors who are changing the world of publishing, one book at a time.
Hello and welcome to the Self-Publishing Spotlight. We meet indie authors at all stages of their careers and ask them a series of 5 questions. 5 questions about their process, their mistakes and their successes, 5 answers that will help you level up your own author career. My name's Tom Ashford and I'm part of the Self-Publishing Formula. Don't forget that you can get your self-publishing resource kit at selfpublishingformula.com/starter kit.
This week's guest is Eve Power. She's about to release her first book in the post-apocalyptic genre and she lives in Ireland. Welcome, Eve.
Hi Tom, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? How's it over in Dublin?
Hanging in there. We're on a bit of lockdown at the minute, but sure.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah. So would you like to start by talking about the book you're about to release and your pen name?
Sure. So my pen name is Dixon Rule. Dixon from an Enid Blyton character, and Rule is from Tolkien. One of the R's in J.R.R. Tolkien is actually the name Rule. Blood Brute is the name of my book series, and the first book, Rise of One, is coming out in June of this year.
Fantastic. So if we go into the 5 questions, the first one is, why do you write? So why have you chosen post-apocalyptic and sci-fi?
Well, it oddly ties in with what's happening in the world at the minute, but it certainly didn't start out this way. I began this book about a year and a half ago. I write in general because there's like tons of worlds and characters in my little head, and I feel I have a duty to record them all, write them all down. And through that, one day I asked myself the question, well, if there's a zombie apocalypse and humans are becoming less and less, what would vampires do in that situation? And that's where the Blood Brute series came from.
Nice. And had you always wanted to be a writer?
I think so. Yeah, I remember reading big books when I was quite younger. You know, The Never-Ending Story by Michael Ende. That is quite a big book, and I read that in my early teens, and I think I knew from there, you can record fantasies and worlds and all the goings. And so I said, I'll be on board with that.
Nice. And in terms of publishing, I'm presuming you're going down the indie route?
Mm-hmm.
Did you always intend to go down the indie route, or were you interested in a traditional contract first?
Well, initially I had success as a poet, and I had awards and publications in that respect, so I thought I was going down that route. And then I embraced more aspects of writing in terms of novels and short stories, and I did look for the traditional route in the beginning, but I think if you're a little bit of a headstrong person or a little bit of an independent person and you educate yourself about the world of publishing more and more, I realized indie for me, in my circumstances, and especially the genre that I write in, is the way to go.
Yeah. And do you want to talk a little bit about the poetry side of things?
Sure. I've realized that poetry is science fiction and science fiction is poetry. And that was kind of a revelation I had. Because I thought there was quite a big divide between the two. But really, they're just looking for the unusual and the magic in every day. So they're not too far apart in my head.
Yeah.
In terms of poetry, probably my biggest success, I was runner-up for the Patrick Kavanagh Poetry Award. And I was named at different festivals and stuff as like an emerging poet. And through that, I met the big kind of wider writing community. But I think focusing more on science fiction and this series that I want to write, it's just, that's where my heart is at.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, question number 2 is more about the process. It's how do you write? So in terms of approaching your book, did you plot the story out, or did you just see where the story took you?
Definitely an organization person. Spreadsheets. I worship at the altar of spreadsheets. So I was initially inspired by there's a American artist, Thomas Cole, and he has a series of 5 paintings. It's about the rise and fall of an empire. And that really inspired me to add on to the Blood Brute series in terms of outlining it that way. So open the spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet for obviously scenes, obviously characters, but I also have spreadsheets in terms of calendars. So what do I want to do this year? What's the 5-year goal? What's the 10-year goal? And then, say for launching, there's another spreadsheet on that. But for writing every day, I like to use Google Docs, and you can actually have Google Keep open on the right-hand margin there as you type. So that's quite good as well.
Nice. Is there a particular time and place that you prefer to write?
I'm an early bird. I love getting up early. I'm on Twitter, the 5 a.m. Writers Club hashtag. You'll find me there. I'm not awake in the morning, so I'm not as critical in the morning. And I find that's when writing and planning works best before the workday starts as well, because I work full time.
Okay, well, that leads into question number 3, which is, are you a full-time author? If you are, how did you get there? And if you aren't, what steps are you taking to make it happen?
I'm not a full-time writer. However, it is the goal. I have a 10-year plan set out for myself, and I know what being a full-time writer looks like to me in terms of the financial side and in terms of the success side. And I think that's very important to define those goals for yourself, because so many people hear full-time writer and think, oh, you're wearing tweed in a cabin by the lake.
Right.
But for me, it's be able to record all these worlds and characters as a full-time job. So the plan is Blood Brute is 5 books, and then I have a few ideas for a few more trilogies after that.
Nice. Okay, well, question number 4 is, what mistakes do you think you've made and what have you got right?
Oh, that's such a good question. In terms of mistakes, when you start off as an indie author, you're trying to do it all, and you're trying to learn as well. You've nothing under your belt. And so I think the biggest mistake I made was trying to do it on the cheap, because you don't quite know in the beginning where to put your money. Is it into education and online courses, or obviously it's editing, and then obviously everything is obvious to spend money on, but you don't really know where. So I think in terms of Rise of One, it was definitely the cover. I tried to do it on the cheap side in the beginning. I went to Fiverr and 99 Designs. I got great covers, but that's not what you need to do if you're developing like a 5-book series.
Right.
So after trial and error, I had to bite the bullet, sit down with, first of all, an illustrator and say, I need 5 books plus 2 short story covers. Let's throw some money at this and do it professionally and properly. And that's a hard lesson, I think, to learn.
Yeah.
In terms of what I got right, I actually really enjoy social media in terms of Twitter. And even though I don't have a book out yet, I've been able to make really great friends and connect with not just like other writers locally, but communities that I didn't even know existed before. And different hashtags can unlock your way into different areas of support that I didn't even know were there. And you realize you're not alone. So that's lovely too.
Yeah, definitely. To go back a little bit, you mentioned some potential trilogies in the future. What sort of stories and genres do you have in mind?
I love space adventure. I love space pirates. I love space mafia. So I've got something cooking in the works about that. And like racing fast ships and dirty dealings in the underworld, like give it to me. I can't wait to write it. I'm really looking forward to it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm moving into the space opera genre myself.
Yeah.
It's great fun.
It's good fun. I love it.
Okay, question number 5, the final one, is what's your final piece of advice for authors starting out in indie publishing?
Okay. So take your current timeline or time frame for writing and publishing and then double it. And then be okay with that, because everything takes so long. It'll take longer than you think. And you want to put out such a good product that will entertain people and spark their imagination and hopefully show them adventure and solace and hope. But you need time to do that, and you should learn to give yourself time. That's probably the best piece of advice I have. If things take longer, embrace it, because you're on the right track. Just keep going, but it will take time.
Yeah, that's good advice. We can't all be Amanda Lee, who releases about 2 books a month.
Well, that's this, and certainly not in the beginning. Maybe in the future you can work up to that, but not year one.
No. Well, perfect. Those are your 5 questions. Thank you very much for coming on, Eve.
Thank you for having me, Tom.
That's it for this week's Self-Publishing Spotlight. Don't forget that you can get your free self-publishing resource kit at selfpublishingformula.com/starter kit. And if you want to appear as a guest on this show, send us brief details about yourself and your writing at selfpublishingformula.com/spotlight-guest. I'm Tom Ashford, and I'll see you again next week.